let's start. Let me post this quickly. Cool. All right. So welcome everyone for our this is not the first meetup, right? Second meetup of Microsoft Student Accelerator. And the topic of today is, what can you see standing on the shoulder of giants? Okay. So the purpose of the talk today is that I want to highlight the importance of having mentors and advocates and sponsors in our career. You know, going through the transitions and career, or like coming from student life into the professional life. Okay, and what we're gonna do today is that I'm gonna share my lived experience and observation, outline some lesson learned that I learned from my giants, and hear advice from our panelists. So we have Daniella here with us today, Jasmine Johnson, and Ben with us. I remember. So they're going to come and share some advice and going to talk a little bit about what they do, okay? And then there will be opportunities for you to ask them questions. So think about hard questions that you can ask them and throw them under the bus. No, I should not say that. But anyways, also a good opportunity for people that dial in to put in the chat, and somebody's going to monitor the chat as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat. Okay, now, hi there. I am Gia. I'm from Thailand, and I moved to Perth for my master's degrees in 2016. Yes, not just one master. I actually did 2 masters, and technology was the topic or the content I was learning in my second master. You know what? Because my migration lawyer, actually not supposed to share this, but my migration lawyer told me that if I wanted to stay in Australia, which I love to stay in Australia because it's my home, like I feel it's my home, I had to do my second master, or I had to get married with an Australian man. Within 2 months, like I was running out of time. So I took the first choice. You'll probably figure out I took the first choice because I'm more confident in my ability to learn. So now I am 3 years into technology workforce or technology community. I work at Microsoft as an associate cloud solution architect in data and AI. I am also building community. You gotta appreciate my drawing. I'm also building community for early in careers for Microsoft Australia and New Zealand. I am also the youngest elected WA branch executive. I don't know if anybody heard of Australian Computer Society. Yeah? Okay, kind of good. Okay, so we help and advise the computing professional and help advise and further the computing professionals. Outside of the job that I get paid to do, I also do a lot of community work with Michelle, with a lot of people in this room. I teach digital skills and also skills particular students and or students at disadvantage, or women's cheat codes and people, the minority to come into tech. Now, how did I get here in the first place? You probably wonder. I am going to take you with me. We're going to turn back time just before I joined the tech workforce. Okay, there you go. The journey has not yet begun. There I stood with a piece of paper and a koala in my hand, smiling at a photographer. I walked out from my graduations with, you know, basic skills in the ordinary and limited reality. And I was just hoping for the best for my future. And then after mucking around for a little bit, I discovered this unfamiliar place called Corporate Jungle. You're probably not familiar with it yet, but like in a couple of months or a year or 2 time, you'll be in the corporate jungle like me. Now, as I enter into the corporate jungle, right, I first, by the way, that little white drawing, it's me, okay? Just in case it's not obvious enough. As I enter corporate jungle, I first encountered this murky water. I was asked to be untruthful to my values so I could go some shortcuts, and then I faced this acid rain of self-doubt and not so good enough syndrome. It burned my skin and soul. And when I thought I was going to get better, right, the world's biggest pandemic arrived. what happened? We went down into the spiral, the bunker, the underground bunker spiral. It actually took me a while to climb out there, and then I faced the biggest spider. Just in case you don't know, that is a spider, okay? So I faced the biggest spider, signified career change, a new career. At first, new career was so terrifying, and the more I learned about it, the more I realized, oh my God, this is the dream career of my life. So just like the spider, you know that they look scary, but actually they're really friendly. Only 4. Actually, I read the stat. They say like it's been about 45 years that nobody died from spider in Australia or something along those lines. Gotta fact check. But anyway, so they're friendly. So anyways, with new job came new terrain, and I was exposed out there. With trolls attack me with negative feedback. It's actually make me feel like, oh my God, like I should not be here because I actually like, you know, all those imposter syndrome and stuff. However, despite it all, I survived, and their journey still continues. So I'm probably around there. Like my graphic was supposed to move, so try to imagine that I was going through the journey. Okay, cool. Anyways. I did not go through this risky situation in perils alone, right? In the mainstream media, usually we'll see this, white old wizard. Love being a mentor, love being an advocate, right? But mentors and advocates come in many forms, from beautiful mage to kung fu instructor to a blue cat robot from 22nd century. I don't know if you know about the blue cat robots, but hey, it's a talent and that's my childhood. So anyways, there I am. And so anyways, all 2 big friendly giants, okay? And they're into the giants, you know, because I didn't go through all of these situations alone. The giants helped me throughout all my journeys. Now, they actually show me the way. They help provide me practical training, profound wisdom, challenge me, push me to fight in the new terrain, and help me build grit and self-confidence throughout all those risky and perils. They lifted me up, and they also leveraged their height so I could see the path and possibility in front of me. I won't go through all my giants all today because you see like there's so many, but we're gonna go through 3, okay? I'm gonna have like key 3 lesson learned that I learned from them, and then I'm gonna bring our panels up so we can, you know, learn more about them. You can answer maybe questions. Now, wait, I need to move. The first giant that I've met was Jason Yao. You probably don't know Jason Yao, it doesn't work here. So Jason Yao, he is interesting. The first time I met him, I swear, I was like, I would never go to the second round of meeting with Jason Yao again. I would never go back to continue the mentoring program because our first conversation was so confronting. I was a uni student then. I was like, oh, I want to be an IT consultant, IT software consultant. Like I was hoping that Jason would help me get the job. Jason turned around and he said, you know what? You don't want to be an IT consultant. You said that because you don't know what you want to do. And I was like, how dare you burst my bubble? How dare you tell me, like, I don't want to be IT consultant. I know what I want to do. And then he said, okay, before our next meeting, you should list down 100 jobs that you would want to go for in tech and do your resume up as if it were to be the year of 2050, which is like 30 years from then. And I was like, this is such a ridiculous exercise. I'm not going to do it. But guess what? I actually went through the exercise. I thought that I was not going to see Jason again, but I actually went back to see him. And I did go through the exercise, and I was like, oh my God, actually, he did help me learn the critical thinking skills, because the more I think about it, right, all the 100 jobs that I was writing down, well, I actually lost my Canva account, but anyways, I really did the 2050 resume. Anyways, thanks, Josh. I know that is so engaging.
I was shocked that you almost did 100.
All good. And then I was like, oh my God, I know now that actually I don't want to be an IT consultant. You know, I want to explore as much as I can. And I have to think for myself, because when I said I wanted to be an IT consultant, you know why? Because everybody in my class said that, hey, I want to be an IT consultant. When we finish all of these things, I want to be an IT consultant. I didn't want to be it. But it's just like stick in my brain, right? So the lesson that I actually learned from Jason, because Jason actually never get me any job, by the way, but he actually taught me a really good lesson, actually both in work and at life, that I have to challenge my initial belief and disrupt my, old or traditional way of thinking, because that might not be the things that I want. Now, the second giant. Oh my God, she stands here. Anyway, that's us together. We always do cheat codes and mentoring other people to come into tech and teach them how to do Python turtle eating cabbages. Anyways, so cute, hey?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Thanks, Michelle. Anyway, so we're so cute together. Okay, so Michelle is she's my second biggest giant. I first met Michelle for Women in Tech. I think she was one of the panelists way before I joined Microsoft when I was a student. I was like, oh my God. I was drooling, right? Oh my God. How, I didn't know that we could be like that. We could be like Michelle, be a woman and drive into tech and stuff like that. I was so inspired. I was queuing up, trying to go and talk to Michelle. I don't know if you remember Michelle, but it was so awkward and all, right? Because there were so many students trying to talk to Michelle. And when it comes to my turn, I was like, hi, Michelle. I really like your work ethics. I aspire to be where you are. Thank you so much and goodbye. And then she gave me that look of oh, you're not going to ask me for anything? And I was like, no, okay, goodbye, that's it. And then I just make my way out. And about 2 years after, I met Michelle again in Microsoft interview. Don't know if you remember, but anyways, little
She
story.
asked me for something then, she asked me for the job.
I did. Oh no, well, I did ask her for a job 2 years after. But anyways, to be honest, Michelle, I could do the whole day talk about Michelle. There's just so much to talk about. But anyways, Michelle let me borrow her belief in me. When I first got into Microsoft, it was 8 weeks in. I was in account management role, so it was not very technical, although Michelle would say, there's no such thing as non-technical or technical role. But it's my technical knowledge is this much. I don't know much about Power Apps. So she's like, hey, you know what? I volunteered you to run this Power Apps workshop. And I never run the workshop. I don't know Power Apps. I don't know if you know Power Apps, but Power Apps is one of Microsoft products, right? Never used it before. And it was the International Women's Day event. I think we have to teach the room full of women. They were actually here, And I had no idea. And I was like, oh my God, they scared the shit out of me, because it was 3 days before the actual workshop, right? And then I was like, oh my God. I don't have the environment out, because I need to prepare the environment for the attendees, and I need to write up the script, and I need to go and learn how to do Microsoft Power App things. Now, you probably ask, surely there's so many people at Microsoft, why is only you? Literally, there was nobody else available. Michelle walked to me and she said, Gia, you are the last person standing. I believe you can do it. Here you go. And then she went off to some party on that Friday.
There was another event. I am often at many events for these things. But I came halfway when she was halfway through, and she was totally killing it. So, my faith was not displaced.
For sure. Anyway, so she believed that I could do it, and I was so stressed anyways. I kept going, thinking that I could not let her down. But the lesson that I actually learned from that exercise was that, you gotta show up. You gotta step up, right? What else did I say? We can make impact despite being inexperienced. So what do I mean by that? Sometimes when you are so early in career, or when you're a student, you think that, oh, but I don't have experience. I cannot do this. I cannot do that. There are more people that know this better than me because they've been here forever. Actually, that's not true. I have done it within 3 days. I just learned something new and pretend I know that, and then teach other people. So that's what happened. Anyways, thank you very much, Michelle. I'm gonna move on, and now, actually, Anto Makits. I thought that she was not gonna be here because I'm sweating already. So, anyways, Antoinette. So Antoinette is my third giant. And
Oh my God. I lost all my words. This is how much I appreciate you, Anto. But anyways, so Anto, don't know what to say about her. She's screen. It's not on the screen, but anyway, so remember when I joined Microsoft as an S5? So S5 is the term that we describe in Microsoft graduates. Like they just finish uni and then they join Microsoft. I was in the first cohort of COVID lockdown, and we were supposed to go to Canada, go to onboarding, meet other people from around the world, forge relationship and all those things, and meet Microsoft executives so we kind of know what we're doing, right? And potentially get ourselves install Microsoft chip in our body. But okay, anyway, that didn't happen because it got canceled within a week before we flew. And you know, like everything went. Do you remember those times that everything went virtual? And the lockdown happened. Y'all remember? Okay, we live in the same world, and that's good. It was kind of new to everybody. We kind of like learning how to adjust to the new way of working. And unfortunately, the younger workforce, they kind of feel lost because, you know, through that transition period, they have to learn the new job. They also have to learn the new way of working and whatever that happened. So I felt lost too. And actually, without Antoinette, I would still feel lost. Hello. Anyways, so I remember I got these big customers, right, to look after. Remember, I joined Microsoft as a grad that look after like relationship management. So I got this big customer to look after, and I thought I was doing a good job, to be honest, because I was like, yeah, relationship management, how hard can that be? So I was like, got given this account, and then I have this old relationship, so I kind of like maintain it and was, yeah, job done. But it was just a baseline, right? And Anto at that time, we were in the same account, we were in the same team. And I actually thought that that was enough, but she, you know, she's a high achiever, she's like a high performer. So one day she's like, hey mate, you know what? You should own the relationship with the customer. You are in the business of support, like enterprise support. How can you support the whole account when you only have like one relationship? You gotta go into like across all the business. Nobody told us to me. My boss thought I was doing a great job, but Anto was like, you gotta step up your game, you know, but she's not that scary. She's actually so lovely, sorry.
I don't.
Anyways, we also trained together as well, because like at some point I was doing triathlon. I'm actually doing it anyways, but it's just like I'm on pause at the moment. We call it off season. We have a break. Not Antoinette, but okay. By the way, can I say this? Just to tell you the scale of her awesomeness is that Anto trained for her first Ironman. Anybody know what is Ironman? Somebody who doesn't know what is Ironman? Come on, don't be shy. Y'all know? Okay, Ironman is like the sport where you go for swimming, riding, and running all together, but at like crazily long distance. Probably like 8 hours. Was it 17? I don't know. What is the Ironman time? How many hours? 16 hours continuously, just like all in one day. So anyway, she was training for Ironman then, and she was closing the biggest security deal ever exists in Australia, or maybe the world, I don't know. I probably don't say this, but that is how much of the high achiever she is. And you know what? Anto actually taught me, and it is work. Hang on. So what Anto taught me then is that we should hold ourselves responsible for a higher standard than anybody else expect of us. No excuses. If you have to run, schedule in, you gotta go for a run. You probably skip your run today, but anyways, I'm important.
Anto also played state rugby for WA.
Wow.
She does a lot of things whilst working for Microsoft as well.
Anyway, so you might already have, you know, some questions popping up in your brain. How can I be an awesome mentee then? I asked my giants, what kind of mentee spending time with? There's three kind of things or qualities you have to exhibit. First of all, say yes to opportunities that scare you, not the opportunities that you kind of like know and have done it before, you know. Secondly, continuous learning mindset. You gotta learn. You know, any skills that you don't know now, it can be learned.
through practice. Anything can be learned. If you've never done it before, it doesn't mean that you cannot do it. Okay? And then give and get. This one, I think everybody has something to give in the relationship, right? Mentor, mentee. Sometimes we look up at them and we're like, oh my God, I don't know what else to contribute because I'm so young and so inexperienced. But Michelle loved it. Michelle loves my perspective. Sometimes I just throw some random thing at her. And you too contribute to the relationship. Like bring your brain with you, bring your questions, whatever you want to learn from them, whatever you think that could be better, you can tell them. The fact that they have been here before doesn't mean that they are the only person that have to contribute to the mentor-mentee relationship. We all learn from each other. Anything else you want to add, Michelle? Give and get.
So for the say yes to opportunity, I think Gia really demonstrated that in the story where she was talking about how she had to get up and deliver that Power Apps workshop, and she didn't know anything about Power Apps. She didn't say no, she said yes. She learned all the stuff she needed to learn in order to deliver it, and she asked for help around the areas that she didn't know what to do. And that was a really great opportunity, which if she had said, no, I don't know how to do that, you need to find someone that's already qualified in Power Apps, she wouldn't have put herself up on the, like a lot of people saw that, and that really gave her a spotlight onto her career, which helped her right at the start. Continuous learning mindset, well, she has continued to do that. She continues to get her certifications, just like we all do working at Microsoft. And the more that you learn, the more you are able to keep on running at pace. And the give and get, well, yeah, I don't think that I teach Gia things. I think that we have our one-to-ones and we talk to each other. There are things that she says that spark ideas in me, and there are things that I say that enable her to move forward. And that's what you want in your mentoring relationships. You want to both of you be in it, having those good conversations and growing together. And the perspective that you have from where you are is really, really valuable because, I have not been at university in a really long time. And so the things that you are seeing in the world and learning in the world now are different than how I learned them back then, but they help. My favorite story of Gia is that I always ask her to help me when I can't fix my code. And one time she asked me how come I didn't ask Graham, who is the senior developer. And I said, well, I asked Graham one time, and Graham went through and he did exactly the same steps that I did to troubleshoot it myself. And we couldn't find the answer because Graham went to university in the same era that I did. He learned from the same textbooks. He was taught the same techniques. Whereas Gia, she comes from a completely different learning perspective, and she sees stuff that I cannot even accept is plausibly the problem, and that it always is. So you have something to offer no matter how old you are or how inexperienced, and bring your full self to your mentoring relationships.
Thank you, Michelle. You want to know what was that mistake? It was a capital letter M. Well done, Michelle. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to introduce our panelists. Come. I need Ben to explain what is that dinosaur in his name, okay? So we have Daniella with us, Ben with us, and Jasmine with us. Now, I'm just going to give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself and what you do at Microsoft. Who want to go first?
Okay, I'm first one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Ben Curran. I'm a cloud solution architect for Microsoft, dealing with Azure Core technology, so the foundational stuff, networking, VMs, things like that. I work with my customers to help them put solutions into cloud in Azure and do it in a way that works best for them, follows our kind of principles of well-architected framework and cloud adoption, so making sure they're doing the right thing, really.
Cool. Jasmine.
Hi, I'm Jasmine with an E.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, it's done so I don't get me. So I am an account executive at Microsoft, which means that I have 6 major accounts. I look after Woodside, Western Power, the Water Corporation, Northern Star Resources, Horizon Power, and my role is to align to sort of their senior leaders to find out what the overarching goals of the business are and the problems that they're facing, what they're trying to achieve. And I'm responsible for the overall relationship between them and Microsoft. Once I figure out what those goals are and problems are, I work with a team of really smart people, including to help bridge those gaps and achieve those goals. And they come to me for anything from the face of Microsoft for those businesses.
Thank you. So I'm Daniella. I'm also a cloud solution architect working in the Azure core space. I work with education customers, so lucky me, get to work with all the unis. And really I spend my day thinking about how customers can be successful and what services in the Azure platform they'd like to use and how we can fit those all together. So we can have the design architecture space.
Thank you. By the way, Daniella is our first associate cloud solution architect, which is like similar to my role, but I'm in data and AI. Daniella is in infrastructure. So when we say associate, there's this like really cool program at Microsoft where they want to bring more diversity into the cloud solution architect role. Because in the past, it used to be like 10 to 15 year experience of people, like experienced people that get hired into the role, but our leaders, they see something and they're like, okay, you know what, let's get somebody else that has different sort of experience into the solution architect role. Cool. All right, first question. Who has helped you grow in your career? How did they help you? You're smiling at me, Daniella? Yep.
Actually, everybody's smiling at me.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, so I guess I've had a lot of people help me in my career. I've been working in IT for over 15 years. The industry has changed a fair bit over that time. I think for me, the people who've helped me the most are kind of sponsors within my peer group. So somebody who's willing to listen to my silly questions, help me find the right resources, make sure they say good things about me to our management teams. It doesn't have to always be like someone who's like much different to you or much older than you who supports you in your career.
Like peer mentoring.
Peer mentoring, yeah.
What about you, Jasmine?
Yeah, so I had a think about this yesterday and thought about a girl that I used to work with who had a support role to me at the time, and she was a bit of an anto, she was a bit of a machine. She had a global, I can't think of the right word, but she had won triathlete of the world at one point. So she was really dedicated and, I don't know, sporty. Anyway, she also was very straight down the line. So she would tell you if she thought you could be doing better and expected more of you, even though she was a support person. She taught me how important it is to reflect on each day, each meeting, each moment, the good ones and the bad, and to think at the end of those meetings or days or encounters about what I've done, what I could have done better, what I might do differently, and to really use all of those opportunities to learn from, keep getting better, and to even make peace with, have I done everything that I could possibly have done at that point? And I still do that 20 years later. I try not to do it at 3 a.m. or during a yoga class, but my best ideas do tend to come at those times.
I do it on my bike, so you're fine. Ben?
So I've been in IT for about 25 years, so I've had a fair few people actually alongside me in my career. Probably the one who made the most impact was a manager who I worked with at about 15 years ago at a managed services company. I'd worked from service desk and gone into like a people management role, and he kind of saw like, okay, Ben's having some problems adjusting to this person, that people management role. Got me in and started mentoring and like mentored me a little bit. He kind of taught me the difference between emotional response and giving a crap. Like you can still make like emotional response. You will usually mostly get you in trouble because usually it's like an outburst or often negative. But I always kind of mistook that for like, well, I care. I want this to be successful. I want to make this the best. So I'd always respond emotionally. But then he kind of brought it around to, well, you can still show you care. You can still show that you want this to be successful. But if you take that time to take the emotion out of it, you can make it more successful than the emotional response. Because usually if you make an emotional response, people will close off to you, not want to work with you. So, and yeah, after that, I've made sure I've worked very hard to consider that when I've been dealing with people, when I've been dealing with situations. Like, if things don't go my way, it's like, oh, look at this, I'm out, and just flip a table and walk out. I've kind of gone, well, wait a sec, why has it gone this way? Look at it from more angles, get other people's feedback to make sure that you're seeing it from other perspectives, and then try and work on a solution. And sometimes there is no solution. Sometimes the best solution is that you can't do anything about this. There is no solution. So you just have to move on. So yeah, he kind of taught me that, and was really, and it's something that's really worked with me for most of my career.
I could not imagine Ben fix the table, but okay. Do you like being a people manager more or individual contributor?
An individual contributor.
Why is that?
Because I'm responsible for the output of my work, but also I recognize that I'm not the sole contributor to my success or the success of others around me. Like I work with other people. I have some impact, but my work works off the impact of others, and it's one thing that's really resonated with me since working for Microsoft, because we have that as part of our yearly review. Is that okay? What impact did you make with others, or what did you build on the work of others to be successful in doing? So yeah.
Cool, thank you. Next questions is, what was the best advice your mentors gave to you? Jasmine?
Okay. I was actually thought I answered this last time, which was my reflection answer, but I'll add to that. I had one person tell me a long time ago to surround yourself with people who are the best at what they do, so that you're surrounded in a culture of success. And I think about this for myself in who I align myself with in work, and I think about this in my friendship groups, my closest friends from school or quite successful in their careers now, and we still catch up. And I try to think about this for my kids as well, where I want them to surround themselves with people who try. I want it to be cool to try to do their best, because if everyone else feels that way, they'll lift each other up, and the team, whichever team it might be, is all dedicated to that shared goal. And I think the person who taught me that when I was about 24, it just said, once you're in that team, you will be successful because everyone in that team is successful, and it was true.
It's like herd immunity.
Yeah,
but
you don't want to be the...
But you don't get sick, you just get better.
Daniella, sorry.
For me, I think it was don't be afraid to shine. So I am typically a little more on the quiet side, especially in a group setting, in a meeting where there's senior executives, and it took me a lot of practice to speak up, and it took a few goes and finding out that actually what I have to say does have value. And so I think, yeah, even if you're a bit more on the quiet side, or also to the people who like to talk, make sure that those quiet people are heard in the room as well. But yeah, overall, don't be afraid to shine.
Thank you. Ben?
Advice I've heard from a few people is kind of recognise that the intent of critique doesn't often match the impact that it may have. So, and that happens both directions, towards you or towards others. But when that intent is bad, don't engage. Like don't. That's what block button is for. Is what I've heard as a saying. Just make sure, like, when you actually do take criticism, be able to think about it and separate it from the good intentions from the bad intentions, and take them on board.
Like that. Thank you. Actually, I do have one last question for me, but you know what? I think you all have a lot of questions. Am I right to say that? Would you want to ask questions? There's no hands? Anybody has a question that you want to ask the panel?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
I am looking for the mentor, so I just needed more information. How you get what? I get from the university, but it did not help me as much I wanted. And I'm looking for the new one now. How can I get there? Because I finished my university, I can go back to them to ask them again. They give me a new mentor.
Good question. How did you find your mentor?
I just kind of stumbled upon them. Really, I left high school and went straight into work. So I've been working my entire adult life. I kind of came upon mentors through working alongside them or through communities that I have attended. One thing that will probably help is when you do get a mentor, be upfront as to what the goal of your mentorship needs to be. So you get that, so you can get what you need out of that relationship. I've done that with some of the mentors I've taken on recently. We've actually had a sat down and gone, okay, why are you here? What can I help you with? So then I can make sure that I tailor my mentoring experience to make sure they're getting what they need out of their relationship.
Anybody else want to add to that? Yeah, go on, Daniella.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to just reach out to people. People reach out to me, I set up a time with them, we have a chat. And the other thing you can do is if you do get time with somebody, ask them to introduce you to somebody else as well. So your network will grow through that. We do that here at Microsoft quite often. When we have a new starter, I'll hand them to Anto, she'll hand them to Gia. Because also sometimes the relationship isn't as good as you might have hoped with the first person.
Yeah.
I'm sending the text messages to the LinkedIn, but everybody is just rejecting it.
We probably need to review what you're saying to them. I think I actually got a lot of messages as well. I'm one of those people that would just randomly send people messages after I know what I want. Like, say, I'm trying to learn more about sustainability, environmental sustainability now because it's just my new quest, right? I was just trying to find out like who in the BA or beyond in this space, and I'll see like if they have the experience that could contribute to what I want to know. I'll reach out to them. We set up one-on-one. Sometimes it's not like don't think of mentoring as a formal process, right? Because I got Michelle not through formal process. I got help from Antoinette not through formal process. It just sometimes you have these things that you're trying to achieve and you look around and you're trying to think about like who might be the best person that could help me get there. And now we gotta trying to look at how am I framing my question or my ask or my request to them.
Can we add to that, Gia? Sometimes, will you be my mentor? People might think it's a big investment of their time, but I have found more success in saying, I love what you did here. Would you have a coffee with me and tell me how you did that? It's a less of an ask, and if it's something they come up with further, but if not, you've learned how that particular success was achieved.
Yeah. although Antoinette left, but the other day I asked her like, do you mentor anybody else? And she was like, what do you mean? Like the relationship that we have together, because I was doing research, right? Because I need to do my DDD talk and I just want to hear different experience. And then she was like, no, we are friends, we're a pal, you know, like it's not, I'm not your mentor. But I was like, no, it's not a noun. It's the act. It's the act of, you don't have to become, like the mentor don't have to become, because it's such a big word, as what Jasmine said. It's like, can you be my mom? You know? So it's kind of like, it depends if they really want to have kids, but anyways.
If you're flattering them and saying, love what you did,
Yeah, that's a good advice.
Yeah.
Cool, anybody else have questions? Okay, Sam put his hand up first. I'll go to you next.
You said that you're looking into environmental stuff. How should I say this? Do you guys have any other passions that sort of involve like your careers or that sort of instance, or outside of your careers? And how do you sort of balance that with work, stress, and time management and all that? Just like.
Ben is a good person for this. I think he's happy all the time and he has all this cool gadget at home and trying to build some stuff at home.
I was going to say I've managed it poorly.
Cool, you always look happy.
Just being able to like find time, like really, like I try not to take work home with me at all. I've kind of setting those boundaries for like, I'll answer emails after hours or things like that, but I do that in balance with spending time with my family. Like I won't do any of that until my kids have gone to bed. And yeah, it's just me and my wife chilling on the couch watching TV. Or she's working on her craft, and I'm like, okay, I want to just answer some emails on my phone.
What's your craft?
Lego.
Anybody's a Lego fan?
Yep.
I love watching my mom build it. I don't like building, but I love watching somebody else build it.
On the tour, did you see the Lego tub that's in the kitchen?
No.
We've actually got a tub full of Lego just for us to be able to like chill out and like
have difficult
build things
conversation.
Yes.
It's actually therapeutic, and like you can have difficult conversation with another person while playing Lego.
Yeah, it's my de-stress. Like once everyone's gone to bed, I just sit there and build some Lego. I built the Horizon Zero Dawn tall neck recently. That's an amazing set. We've started just facing every which way other than up. It's great.
Cool. Your question?
Okay. As in someone who's going to graduate very soon, I want to know, do you have any advice for a new graduate who's going into the tech industry, or who's wanting to go into the tech industry?
Because I never graduated.
Okay, I didn't graduate from tech. I have a commerce degree. So I didn't go to uni. As someone who did graduate from uni and then got a job after it, I did some, what is it called, where you work for free somewhere? Internship. Yeah, I worked at the WA Lotteries Commission. Awesome job. My job was to interview the winners every week. I was convinced I was going to win eventually. I also had to write the speeches for the winners. So I think, as you mentioned earlier, every time you meet somebody, ask for an introduction to somebody else. Do all of the certifications that you can, post them on LinkedIn, get noticed, and just keep meeting people. And for all the jobs that you have done before, I don't know if it's at a cafe or I've worked in a surf shop, somebody will know someone, so ask your network as well.
Yeah, get involved with communities as well. Like I've seen a lot of graduates come out and just dive right in on communities, and with your interests. So I think that it will align with your degree. Like we've got like a machine learning group in Perth. We've got Azure users, which is meeting on Thursday. Front enders, if you're into web dev, you're actually meeting on Wednesday. Security. There's all kinds of different interest groups in Perth. Just go join one of them. Yeah, start networking, start meeting people, and you'll usually find like they'll work for somewhere that's, hey, we're looking to hire a graduate.
I'll also add, find something you're passionate about If you're able to like build a little project around that is outside of your studies, it shows like some dedication and commitment, and you'll learn so much, and the conversations you'll be able to have about it will be like from the heart. And so I interview a lot of people who want to join Microsoft, and those are the kind of things that I pick up on.
To that, anything that can make you stand out that's over and above. So even like ask people to really leave recommendations for you if you've done something cool. Don't waste that connection with somebody.
Yeah, if you're in software engineering, web dev, data and AI even, have a GitHub account. Make sure the work you do, the code you write is out there.
And marketing, it doesn't matter. You don't need to be writing code to use GitHub. There are plenty of marketing people using GitHub to showcase their portfolios.
Yeah, but like having that archive of here's the stuff I've done, that will speak so much more than you saying, hey, I'm building a website.
Why did you hire me into Microsoft, Michelle?
Because of all the extra things you've done, Gia. Gia like entered and won like 1 million hackathons. I'm exaggerating a bit, but only like a little bit. It was, probably only 500,000 hackathons.
This is 5 hackathons. And I won them all.
Yeah.
Sorry, bragging moment over.
Did you mention that thing that you wrote there? How many days of Azure thing?
Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, so I did like a kind of blog style on LinkedIn called The 100 Weeks of a Doer. I got to week 34 and went, wow, this is a really big commitment. So anyone who's creating content, like hats off. But I managed to pass it on to another associate cloud solution architect. So he picked it up from week 35 and is now carrying the torch. And so that was another way people started kind of following the hashtag. People started writing to me and going, look, I really appreciate these like little short, sharp ways for me to learn about Azure. So yeah, find something you're passionate about. You're good at creating content, do that.
Look, like I speak at a lot of conferences, and I don't do deep technical conference presentations. I find something that someone with no experience can build within an hour, and then teach other people how to do that. So I'm literally learning how to do the thing for the conference session where I'm going to teach people things. And so if you are learning something, write about how you're learning. Write about what you learn, write about why you learned it. What's happening?
Sorry, keep talking, sorry.
Yeah, write about stuff while you're learning it. Don't think I need to be a deep expert in this field. I do have this thing, like one time I was learning about DevOps, and so each day I would try and find an article to read about DevOps, or a book, or listen to a podcast or something, and each day I would write a post about what I had learned or gotten from that other content. So it wasn't even I'm writing original content, I'm writing about what I learned from somebody else's content and just sharing like 3 top tips from that thing. At the end of that month, people were inviting me to speak about DevOps, because you can build your credibility that fast within 1 month if you are consistently sharing something every day and you're sharing what you have learned. So don't ever think you need to be, you need to wait till you've 30 years experience and you've written 4 books. No. Start now, share your thoughts. People are at the same stage as you on that journey, and so they will appreciate those lessons, and that will make people notice you.
Yeah. By the way, that's the hashtag 100 Weeks of Azure. If anybody wants to go in and read Daniella's journey. Okay, we have time for one last question, and then you get to talk to them while you're eating pizza, because I think everybody's kind of like, oh, I'm hungry for dinner. Okay, one last question. Yep.
This is kind of piggybacking off the previous question. But say that you have found a mentor and you have set up that first meeting. Do you guys have any advice for how to prove your worth or your determination to that mentor?
Best advice I was given when having an introductory meeting with a mentor was to have something for them. So whether that's you've looked at their LinkedIn, you've looked at, that they're interested in sustainability, maybe mention a good book you've read, or bring something to the table. Let them know that you also know somebody else if they were ever interested in an introduction or anything you can think of where you're bringing something to that meeting that's going to help them. They will love it.
Give and get.
Give and get. Anto look at me like she wants to say something. No? Okay, that's fine.
I was just thinking, just ask the question, right? You put yourself out there and come prepared with questions. Jasmine's superpower is she asks anybody for everything. And Jasmine stuck her hand up at an all hands, at a synergy all hands that she'd be invited to sit at, and their CEO was speaking. And they said, "We got any questions?" Jazz stuck up her hand and said, "Yeah, you're going through this big change. I want to understand how you're going to stay motivated." And then they brought her up on stage in front of 200 people, plus another 200 people online, and said, "Do you want to ask your question again, Jasmine from Microsoft?" And they were having dinner with the CEO of Synergy because she asked. And that is her superpower. And I think, you know, you've got to put yourself out there. And she asked me for help, so I help her. Same as everybody else. Like, we're all humans, we want to help each other. So I think if you come prepared with questions and ask it, it makes a difference, right?
Surround yourself with smart people.
Me?
George.
Oh, George.
If it's been spoken about whilst I was off in my own world, I apologise, but I think it's a slippery slope when you start talking about worth, because like inherently you're worthy just by being yourself. So if they've already accepted you as a potential mentee, then they've evaluated that you're worthy, right? So the voice in our head will perpetually tell us that we are not good enough, and it's full of shit. So you need to learn how to push that to the side. And if I ever were mentoring or being mentored, like enthusiasm and passion and excitement to be in the presence of that person is like displaying the gratitude for their time. So don't, like, as a mentee, you'll have like an agenda. You're not going to be just giving your time up because you think, oh, it'll be nice to, you know, look at clouds with this person. But don't think that you're, you know, having to measure up, because you'll never measure up because there's nothing to measure against. Like, just be yourself.
One of my favourite mentors, I got from a failed interview loop. So I had applied for a job. I did not get the job. So theoretically, I have been found unworthy. But after I stopped crying, I'm not getting the job, I called him up a few days later and said, would you mind having like a monthly meeting with me, just like 30 minutes in your calendar? Because I really enjoyed our interview. And he said, yeah, sure, just put it in. And we're still doing those 30-minute meetings, which we actually go for an hour each time, even though it's only 30 minutes in the calendar, more than 2 years later, because we find each other interesting. We both have interesting things to talk about in those sessions, and we're learning from each other. And it isn't, as George says, it's not about being worthy or not. You are all worthy. No matter what that voice says, it's a liar. It is really not a liar, that voice. And you don't have to prove that to anyone, but you do have to show up as your full self. Bring all that you are and let them see that. Don't make them dig for it. I know some people will be shy and introverted, but you know, you're not helping anyone by keeping who you are hidden. If you're coming to a meeting with someone, show them who you are, share. Yeah, ask them questions too. If you're nervous, take a few deep breaths and ask them a question, and it'll give you a chance to sort of calm down and think about something else to say while they're inspiring you with some thoughts.
Some of the best things my mentees have done over the years is just be honest and truthful completely. Like, if they need something, tell me. And if I can't give them that, I'll tell them. Enthusiasm for that, like, show up with your enthusiasm, because like one of my most recent mentees, he wants to be a DevOps engineer and a cloud architect. And even like our first meeting together, he told me, yeah, I went and picked up a Phoenix project to learn about DevOps. Holy crap, that book is good. Like, I started talking to him, and I'm like, yes, okay, we're here. We're doing this now.
I think if you've ever got that feeling of imposter syndrome, we all get from time to time, I try to think of what advice would I give my best friend or a colleague if they were going to do that thing. So just take yourself away from it and say, someone I cared about and they asked me that question, what would I tell them to do? And I'm going to do that.
Cool. We all get inspired.